Ferrari is second in the 2025 Formula One Constructors Championship after the Spanish Grand Prix. Should that be a reason for satisfaction? Let's not kid ourselves. One other way of looking at it is that Ferrari is first among the losers. After a third of the 2025 Formula One season, the Maranello team has no real objective other than to make an increasingly bitter season feel less painful, one that had started with very different ambitions. After just 9 rounds, the team led by Andrea Stella has scored more than double Ferrari's points. The sense of discomfort surrounding the Prancing Horse is evident in Lewis Hamilton's remarks. A champion known for his mood swings, Lewis Hamilton showed a listless attitude all weekend during the Spanish Grand Prix days, starting as early as Thursday. Not even during Mercedes' darkest days in recent years had we seen the 7-time world champion so resigned. On the other side of the garage, Charles Leclerc once again threw everything he had into the fight, snatching an unexpected podium at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, also thanks to a gift from Red Bull. The Monegasque champion even went so far as to sacrifice his main strength, his qualifying speed, in an attempt to fight for something more meaningful than just a Sunday result. It is truly difficult to recall a podium that felt so unrewarding for both Ferrari and the Monaco-born driver. Did Ferrari really believe in TD018? After the Miami Grand Prix, Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur claimed that Barcelona would bring a performance reset for everyone. And indeed, the balance of power did shift, giving the Woking team a clear opportunity to break away from the pack. The new technical directive was also the official reason for why no aerodynamic updates were introduced on the SF25 single-seater last weekend. According to the French manager, introducing developments at the same time as the TD018 technical directive came into effect was not the right approach. In hindsight, one could argue that the technical directive had virtually no impact on the overall performance balance among the cars. The field remained largely similar to what we saw starting from the Australian Grand Prix. Most likely, the Maranello engineers and technicians always knew that TD018 would not boost the SF25's competitiveness. It was just a matter of waiting, because the interventions on Project 677 are ongoing and require more time than an aerodynamic upgrade package based on a well-born car. Thanks to Mercedes' decline, even in terms of reliability, and a Red Bull racing team essentially operating with just one competitive car, the historic Italian outfit has surprisingly climbed to second in the constructors' standings. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton are doing what they can, each in their own way, collecting points like firewood. It is somewhat reminiscent of Mercedes in the 2023 Formula One Championship, a team that finished second in the constructors without winning a single race, light years behind what may have been the most dominant Red Bull in the history of modern Formula One. Unlike what happened 3 years ago, Ferrari's runner-up position, one that now looks increasingly secure, is a reheated, flavorless dish. Frédéric Vasseur has reshaped the team structurally and in key roles. It is only fair to assess him calmly, but also objectively. The Italian team's sporting project aimed for immediate success with Lewis Hamilton's signing, as the 7-time world champion would never have joined a long-term rebuild. If victories do not come this year, and that seems highly likely at this point of the championship, any narrative other than failure is unacceptable. Clinging to wishful thinking in an effort to find something positive in a disappointing season simply will not do. Even runner-up finishes carry a technical meaning that reflects the team's actual level. A second place in the constructors' standings, and perhaps a race victory or two during the current season, cannot and must not sugarcoat a bitter pill. Real progress in approach and mentality comes primarily from a clear-eyed evaluation of results. Anything less leads nowhere in Formula One. A visibly disheartened Lewis Hamilton labeled the Spanish Grand Prix as one of his worst Formula One experiences ever. During the race, Ferrari instructed Hamilton to move aside for his teammate Charles Leclerc on lap 10, and later on, he was overtaken by Sauber's Nico Hülkenberg, who he finished behind. After finishing 7th, Lewis Hamilton was moved up to 6th place after Max Verstappen received a penalty for bashing into George Russell. Charles Leclerc secured 3rd place and his 3rd podium of the year, whereas Lewis Hamilton has yet to secure a top 3 position after 9 races with Ferrari. Trailing behind his Maranello teammate by 23 points, and championship frontrunner Oscar Piastri by a staggering 115 points, Lewis Hamilton admitted that he is baffled by his poor performance. The British driver said he had no idea why it had been so bad, and described it as the worst race he had ever experienced in terms of balance. When asked whether he could take anything positive from the day, the 7-time world champion replied that there was nothing at all. Asked about his plans following the race, Lewis Hamilton simply stated that he would go home. The weekend had started on a cheerful note for him, having outqualified Charles Leclerc for only the 2nd time this season, and sharing a light moment with England captain Harry Kane and Arsenal's Bukayo Saka before the race began. He also managed to edge past ex-Mercedes teammate George Russell at the first turn, placing himself in 4th initially. Lewis Hamilton's hopes rapidly unraveled as he was unable to keep pace with Charles Leclerc, prompting race engineer Riccardo Adami to instruct him to trade places with his teammate. This marks the 2nd occasion this season that Lewis Hamilton has had to yield his position to Charles Leclerc during a race. Despite the fact that the 7-time Formula One world champion triumphed in the sprint round in China back in March, his track record in Ferrari's main events has been mixed. 10th, disqualified, 7th, 5th, 7th, 8th, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Reflecting on the race, Lewis Hamilton stated that the team had done a great job and added that was all he could say, as he did not have any speed in the final stages of the Spanish Grand Prix. The Ferrari driver came home in 7th but was bumped up 1 place after Max Verstappen careered into George Russell, an incident which saw him demoted down to 10th. A late safety car seemed to present an opportunity to regain that ground, but instead, Lewis Hamilton lost touch with the leaders and suffered the ignominy of being overtaken by Nico Hülkenberg in the Sauber. The C45 had been the slowest car on the grid prior to the Spanish Grand Prix weekend. Team principal Fred Vasseur said the British driver had an issue with his car at the end of the race, which is why he struggled so much. Strangely, though, the Ferrari team principal would not offer any details about the problem, and Lewis Hamilton himself has accepted blame for his poor showing already. While Frederic Vasseur was keen to emphasize that 2nd is definitely an improvement from their earlier results this season, he did sound a note of caution, given how far ahead McLaren remain, not just in the standings, but on the racetrack as well. The French manager said he preferred to be 2nd rather than 4th or 5th. He noted that looking back, Ferrari had been 50 or 60 points behind Mercedes and Red Bull after the Chinese Grand Prix, when they were disqualified, but were now ahead of them. The former Alfa Romeo team boss added that over the past 4 or 5 races, the team had done a decent job. However, Frederic Vasseur emphasized that their goal was to win races, not to settle for 2nd place. For that reason, he stressed the need to focus on McLaren, not in terms of the championship standings, but in terms of pace, adding that in his view, the team wasn't that far off in terms of pace over the first 40 laps. While Lewis Hamilton reportedly called the race a disaster afterwards to some of the media, Frederic Vasseur was keen to dispel any potential discord between team and driver for the 2nd race in a row. Ferrari sits 6 points ahead of Mercedes in the standings ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix, but McLaren have cantered further away, their lead in the team's championship, now a mighty 197 points. Lewis Hamilton currently trails Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc by 23 points in the Drivers' Championship, with the 7-time world champion 6th in the overall standings. The British driver has finished 6 of his first 9 Ferrari races outside of the top 5 since making the lucrative move.